Welcome back, fam. We back in the house. I am your host, G Chromosome,
And Allison Morris.
and this is Limitless.
Limitless Talk.
And now it's pedal to the metal. I can never quit now, I will never settle. Puppet to the game, I'm pulling strings like Geppetto. We in the same game, but I'm on a different level. I passed it. Gotta keep grinding till I'm laid up in the casket. No fake round, but you feeling too plastic. Yeah, y'all feeling too plastic. They say my style crazy, but then it's straight jacket. Wow.
Why you still testing my patience? Trying to turn me into something I ain't trying to be. All the hate is a heavy rotation. You gon' lose yourself, quit testing me. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind, cause I'm lethal like Wesley, test me. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind, cause I'm lethal like Wesley, test me. Cause I'm lethal like Wesley, test me. Don't make me lose my mind, cause I'm lethal like Wesley.
All right. Today is March 21st, 2022, and today's topic is
Is you is or is you ain't?
My
Baby.
Oh, yeah. I know some of y'all heard that old school cats. Y'all probably heard that from something else, a song. We tonight we're going to have a little talk, and it's going to be still in continuation of the Judge Mathis show. We're going to have a talk about what are we going to get here? Child support.
Yes, and family law. So, in response to my Judge Mathis appearance last month, we have been discussing in greater detail the topics and comments made regarding some sensitive issues. So, we are here to talk about it again this week. And you're like, how many topics y'all gonna go cover? There was a lot that was covered during the show. So tonight we're talking about child support, and Judge Mathis gave a little bit of education, but we wanted to delve into it a little bit further. So tonight we do have a special guest. She is joining us all the way from California,
Yeah.
West Side.
What?
Oh, I'm telling my age. They'll be like, what was that? Okay, so we have Shamika Sukadeo. She is a managing attorney at Robinson Sukadeo Law. The office serves individuals in several counties, including Riverside, San Bernardino, Los Angeles, and Orange counties. So she is the president of the president-elect of the California Association of Black Lawyers. Ms. Sukadeo graduated from University of California, Santa Barbara, with a degree in English, and she earned her Juris Doctorate from Barry University Law School. She interned at the Orlando, Florida Public Defender's Office. Okay, shout out to the Public Defender's Office. And later at the Riverside, California Public Defender Office as well. So any statements, we do want to make that disclaimer that made tonight, they are for entertainment and informational purposes only. So we are not giving legal advice or anything like that, but we are, sharing experiences. I'll be sharing experiences that I've been having to deal with, and also just make sure you retain your, your attorney, your lawyer.
Right, and that don't mean don't take it seriously.
Right.
We're having these discussions are very much needed, and as I said, and as I said in the beginning, they need to be chewed up, digested to the grizzle, baby.
Oh,
Yeah. We trying to get this thing started with a bunch of mainstream media kind of sugarcoats a lot of things, but we really need to get our people up and running and up to date on actual information that they need to have a better life, right?
Right. So I think a lot of us had some questions about how child support works. And I think Judge Mathis really gave us some insight a little bit about how it works, especially for the state of Florida. And I'm sure it's for a lot of the other ones, but about child support being for the parent, it is for the child. So that's like myth number one. And then it talked about it basing the income is based on your income. So those are things that came up during the show, and it was, like, let's get everything out the way.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we know.
So being based on your income, that means most of these celebrities, especially now with the equality thing going on, a lot of these That's why a lot of these, even the women parents, they're having to pay. I mean, they're the breadwinner, and now they're put in positions to be the ones to pay. So that is a big thing going on, and some people don't like it, some people do, but that is the way it is, and it's not about you personally, it's about the child or the children.
Right. It could be a very amicable thing. In my situation, in state of Florida, they say that you have to, go through the motions, and you have to go through that in order to receive assistance, government assistance. So when I moved back in 17, that was one of the things that happened. I had to, start over, and I needed a little help. So, thank God I'm not, in the position where I need that kind of government assistance any longer, but I do, that is something that had to be open. So there wasn't any, spite thing. It's all these taboos and things that people don't want to talk about
Right.
in regards to child support.
Right. And my thing is, we probably, I mean, a lot of people are really concerned about the child support situation. Um, if you would do what you're supposed to be doing, that wouldn't even really matter to you. You know, if you were already making sure that you took care of the responsibility that you made sure you brought to this world, the child, you would make sure that everything that you in within your power would be taken care of. So right now, we're about to bring on our special guest.
There she
There she is.
Hi guys.
How you
How you
doing?
doing? Good afternoon on the West Coast and good evening on the
Gotta
East
bring in-
Coast.
Thank you.
Right. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing real well. Sorry, we
Can you
got
all
in.
hear me
Sorry.
all well?
I can hear you. Can you hear us
Okay.
tonight?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Woo-hoo. Yeah, I was just introducing you and telling them all the great things about your career, and you being the president-elect of the um, Association of Black Lawyers in California, and just all the wonderful things that you've done in your communities.
Thank you.
All right. Now you're gonna take it easy on me, ain't
Oh, yes. If
Okay.
you promise to take it easy on me too.
you? I'm
We'll play nicely.
All right. So
Gosh.
since we got started a little bit late, right? We're gonna try to jump right into it. Right?
Okay.
Ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna start off. My first question. Okay. What can a father do proactively to establish child custody or paternity?
Well, as far as establishing custody and paternity, one of the first things that a father could do or should do is request genetic testing, DNA testing, scientific tests to determine if, in fact, he is the biological father of the child. Now, the timing of this could be tricky. Some might argue it should be done as soon as the child is born. Um, but depending on the particular state that you're in, you might have some time limitations to do so. So, for example, in the state of California, a father would only have up until when the child is 2 years old to bring in or request paternity testing in order to determine whether or not he is, in fact, the biological father. Um,
Up until
if
2.
somebody
There's a
has
limit.
doubts, I'm sorry?
Up until 2, so there's a limit.
Yes, there is a limit, and depending on which state you're in, that limit may change on when you can request the paternity testing.
Get to it.
Get
You
to
better
it.
get to it then.
Don't
Look.
waste no time.
Yeah.
You definitely do not want to waste any time if you have any doubt. This is definitely the time to satisfy that curiosity, because if you wait too long, then you're in a situation where it's just too sad, too bad, so sad.
Right. Um, so by law, what rights does the father or the mother have by default?
As far as custody is concerned, or child support is concerned?
As far as custody is concerned.
Okay, so typically when the parents are unmarried, so if you have a mother and father who, they were intimate, either they were in a relationship for a long time or it was a one-time, slam bam, thank you ma'am type of a situation. In a situation where the parents were married, both parents would have custody by right until some orders were made by the court to say differently. It's different when the parties are not married. If you have a mother and a father who were not married, the mother is typically going to be the one with the most rights until the father comes forth and has orders basically stating or declaring him, or a judgment stating that he is the actual father, the legal father, giving him rights to that child to establish custody rights.
Right.
Hmm.
What's on your mind?
No, you got to do. It's an active thing, so I can't even be passive about it.
No, you definitely don't want to be passive. If you are the type of person, whether or not you were seriously involved with a woman, or if it was a casual thing, if you know you want to have a relationship with a child and to have certain rights and freedoms with the child, and to not be at mother's whim, or have mother determining everything or any time you can spend with the child, you definitely want to, if you're in the state of Florida, file a petition to determine paternity, or if you're in the state of California, you would file a petition for declaration of parental relation to determine parental relationship. And so what that does is it asks the court to declare you as the legal father, and you can also request the custody and visitation rights of the child at that point, and also ask the court to make child support orders at that particular point as well. So here in California, you can also ask the court to, when you're asking the court to make the determination of parentage, to either do the genetic testing or not. So if you have doubts, you definitely want to have the genetic testing. And I would say for those who are not married, it still is a good thing to have the genetic testing, because like I said earlier, you have that 2-year bar here in California. After the child is 2 years, in most circumstances, you will not be able to then petition for a genetic testing. Even if you know, or if you have new information, say 16 years down the line, stating that the child is not yours, you definitely want to still ask for the genetic testing. Now, from what I do understand in Florida is a little bit different. There are some occasions where up until the child, before the child's 18th birthday, where a father would be able to file a petition for disestablishment of paternity even after a 2-year period. But there would be certain conditions that would have to be met. For example, the father would have to be able to demonstrate that there was no knowledge or even reason to believe that the child was not his. There's already been a determination of paternity. There's child support orders in place. The child support payments are current. So there's a list of things where you would be able to meet the exception to the rule and still disestablish paternity at that point. I kind of went away from the question. I'm sorry.
No, you can. So what you're telling me is I got to tell you that, but I signed. I'm playing devil's advocate. I signed the birth certificate. I still got to prove that I'm the daddy.
And it's commendable that you signed the birth certificate. So sometimes the birth certificate can be used as evidence of paternity, and the courts will use that to demonstrate that you are the father. But the courts they're focused on making sure that every child has two parents to provide the physical, mental, emotional needs, and most importantly, well, I shouldn't say most importantly, but in the state's eyes, it's most importantly, the financial obligations and support for the child. So you would have to then establish some type of parental, that you're the legal father. So for the mother, it's a little easier. She birthed the child. So that's a little easier for most women. You have some other circumstances now with the changes in the laws and the different sets of relationships that we're seeing. But a father will have to go and file a petition to establish paternity and basically get orders or a judgment stating that he is the legal father, not just biological father. And signing a birth certificate, which also comes with an affidavit or declaration of paternity, and genetic testing are some of the evidence, the proof that the court would deem appropriate or sufficient for determination of paternity for a particular man.
Okay. Now, see, here's where I got an issue. Well, if it's gonna be all these problems and stuff, like, why don't we just go ahead and get mandatory DNA testing at birth? Why don't we just go ahead and put that in there and make it to where you don't have no question? before I even get a chance to
mean,
get the paper, you can
do
already
that.
know I'm the daddy, or I'm the baby daddy, or I'm not. It's already set. Why don't we just go ahead and push and do that?
In theory, that makes a lot of sense. In theory, however, in realistically trying to implement something like that, we would have the problem with the hospital and the doctors protecting mom and protecting baby at birth. We understand that birthing and postpartum is a very delicate time for mom, so it wouldn't be appropriate. I don't think the setting. Anybody would find it appropriate to mandate the testing at that particular time. And then we also have the situation where, although we have somebody claiming or assuming or saying that he might be the biological father, if he is in fact the biological father and he's the biological father of a child with a woman who is married to somebody else, that creates some other problems as well. And in that situation, there wouldn't be any need per se for genetic testing or DNA testing because the husband of that woman would be deemed the legal father with rights to the child, creating the biological father now as a putative father if he's able to demonstrate any biological connection to this child. So it gets a little complicated, a little complex.
You've had situations like that?
I have actually had situations where you have a mother and she stepped out of the marriage, for whatever reasons, they were having some complications. Unfortunately, husbands and wives step out on each other, and sometimes a child is born to that, to the mother, excuse me, sometimes a child becomes a product of that extramarital affair. And we have some couples who stay together. We have some that divorce as a result. But the reason for that, and the courts here, especially in California, also see it in Florida, they don't want to leave a child fatherless.
Right.
It's better for somebody to be considered the legal father than to have a situation or even a gap in the paternity.
I'm saying though, she stepped out. She better go find that dude.
Well, that's up to you.
You better go find. Nah, you better go find that dude. You found him the first time. You better find him again.
Yeah.
I know that help you find it, brother. You better find that joker again.
Yeah. And even what would happen in that situation is he could register as a putative father to protect any future rights in the event that the marriage is dissolved, or in the event that the legal father is no longer willing or wanting to be involved and wants to kind of give up the rights to the putative father. I've also had situations where a biological father came into the picture too late, and this is a situation where the parents aren't married, and the mother, she being deceitful or whatever circumstances may have presented themselves, pinned a non-biological father who actually stepped into the picture, was financially responsible, claimed the child as his, still embraced the child as his, although he understood that the child wasn't biologically his. But because of the age of the child, this child was, I think, in her late years of elementary school, the biological father then wanted to come into the picture. And the courts basically deemed that the judgment from before with a non-biological father to stand in place and to just remain the orders. And so the biological father, has no rights, even though he wants to be involved with this child.
Yeah, he had those 2 years. He should have done.
Yeah. And I guess I shouldn't say the fortunate thing for him, because it's still unfortunate. It has no relationship, and in that situation too, the legal father created an avenue for the biological father to still be involved. So at least they were mature and they worked it out that way. And then I guess the benefit, not everybody would see it as a benefit, but one benefit is that the biological father is not responsible financially for the child because there is no judgment of paternity with regard to him.
See, look, already mind blown.
I know. I'm like, look, man, you just do what you're supposed to be doing, man. That's way too much stuff. I mean, I'll be hurt, especially if I was a father who maybe didn't know and then find out and the child is already at a certain age and you want to establish
And you wanna have a
paternity,
relationship, yeah.
and you got a father or mother that kind of don't want you to be, it was like it's too, they think it's too late. It's like that's an uphill battle, man. So
It
we come back to,
definitely.
if we had the mandatory DNA test, we wouldn't be guessing.
Well, you have to be found though. You have to be.
She found
Everybody
him the
has.
first time.
Oh yeah, that's true.
She found him the
She
first
found
time.
Say same place, same time.
All right. So next question, right? If parents cohabitate with the child, how does the court? Well, you probably already answered this, right? How does the court see the parents' authority or responsibility towards the child? This is not an outside person, but without any kind of paternity or custody issues. How does the court see whenever it comes up, like the child is now 13 years old and it comes up, who is considered responsible or, has the authority over that child?
Now, is this question regarding unmarried parents
Unmarried people.
cohabiting?
Yes, just they're just cohabitating.
So it gets a little tricky. So the courts would say, if the parents are, even with parents that are unmarried, that they're sharing the household expenses. So in a sense, they would deem it, well, what's the need for the support? If both parents are there providing, both parents are sharing in the time to spend with the child, taking care for the child, providing all the needs for the child. So typically there wouldn't be an order unless there's some extenuating circumstances. And some of those circumstances could be, say a mom is complaining that, okay, they're living together, but she's paying the entire mortgage or the entire rent. She's buying all the groceries. She's paying for the soccer, the track uniform. She's paying for the school's lunch, the child's school lunch. So those situations, there would be an order in place. But one of the factors when the courts or the child support agency, so in California, we have the Department of Child Support Services. In Florida, it's the Department of Revenue Office of Child Support. So one of the factors with factoring in or determining or calculating child support is the amount of time that each party or each parent is sharing with the child. So what does that mean? So you have issues of, who's the custodial parent and then who's the non-custodial parent, or who has the most time with the parent. So in general, when a parent has more time, so say father has more time, the more time father has with a child, or the more time he's spending with the child, the less typically he would be paying in support. And that's not the only factor, because what the courts are going to look at the income of the parties, the needs of the children, and the amount of time that the parents are spending with the children. And so California and Florida are both income share. They use the income share formula when they determine the child support. So to get back to your question, when the parents are living together, typically there wouldn't be support orders. That usually is triggered when the parties are no longer together, or like I said, if there's some extenuating or complex circumstances that would warrant a need for a support order.
Mm.
It sounds like pettiness comes into
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we know people do that.
Right.
So I was just asking, because I'm sure there's situations where a person just tend to be more about themselves and not the child, and they want to make it, well, I want this and I want that, even though we still live under the same roof. It's like, how dare you? We're both doing it
Yes.
already. What do you gain from that? But we know people are doing it, so that's why you're needed, because you gotta represent somebody, right? You got anything?
Right.
Well, yeah, I had a question about it because I think it triggered a thought about financially responsible. Like, how do you prove that you're financially responsible as the non-custodial parent, I guess, if you're trying to seek custody from that?
So that's a good question. So I usually tell a lot of my clients, male clients, typically male, who have to pay support. So like I said before, go out and file the cases, open up the case. And while orders are pending, meaning that the court hasn't made orders yet, because it usually takes a period of time from the time that you file, from the time to the time that orders are made, you want to make payments or pay something, but you want to keep a paper trail. I wouldn't give cash. at least now with electronic transfers, and we have these third-party apps that you can keep track. But the best thing is to do money orders or checks, or to do direct electronic wire transfers, and then make sure in these checks or on these money orders or cashier's checks that you're specifically putting child support, because without an order in place, without even pending orders, the courts are going to just deem this payment and your ability or your willingness to be proactive and provide for the child and take care of responsibilities. They're just going to deem it as a gift.
Right.
And
That's
so,
he was like,
and your obligation to pay could be retroactive, but it's only going to be retroactive to the date of the filing for the request. So that's how somebody could protect themselves and document everything, even with custody. Before custody orders are made, you want to document the time that you are or are not spending with the children. And if you're not spending any time with the children and it's due to mother's behavior or intentions to alienate or efforts to alienate you from the children, you want to document all your efforts to communicate and request time with the children.
So you saying a man who just not found out he has a child and the child is 15 years old, and the mother just filed at 15, there's no back pay of 15 years that man is responsible for. It's just when the mother filed it.
It will go back to the date of filing for the request. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, not 15 years, because
that's why a lot of them like,
that's why a lot of that's as a guy, that's all we hear. Like, wait a minute.
Well, now, if there was an order out there, so let's say we've had some situations where somebody was completely unaware of an order that was in place. Documents may have been served to an old residence, an old place of employment, which sometimes you can affect service of a summons by mailing it and delivering it in certain different ways, substitute service, like I said, at somebody's place of employment. And unbeknownst to this father, there's an order out there and it's 15 years old or however many years old. He could find himself into some trouble. However, there's also some ramifications to fix that as well, because you also have some time limits to set aside or do away with orders when you learn about them, even if they're old. But the clock starts ticking once you become aware. So your failure to then act once you become aware can also be to your detriment.
Wow. Dirty dogs. Boy, that is a them dirty dogs, boy. you just gonna set me up like that? That is a bad.
And spinning off of that, also, it's very important. A lot of men find themselves in situations where they may have become unemployed, or just circumstances have presented themselves and they're no longer able to meet the financial obligations or comply with the support orders. It is important. I can't stress how important it is to march straight up to the court and or the child support agencies that have entered the orders and file a request for modification based on change in circumstances. Because what happens is the support orders don't go away. You can't pretend you're an ostrich and stick your head in the sand and think nothing's going on around you. You have to fix it so that you get the retroactivity.
Yeah, my father was paying child support on the five of us until he was in his 60s, I think, because it was so much back pay from the year's payment, and he would maybe only file income tax every couple of years, or 3 years or so that he wouldn't get audited. But yeah, we would get, like, one year I got $8, like my child support check was $8.
$8.
Yeah, it was just, it came whenever, so it wasn't something we looked for. But yeah, he paid it off, I think, in the 60s. So I mean, it doesn't go away, like you said.
That
it
doesn't
go away. There are a lot of consequences for failing to pay. You can end up in jail. You can lose your driver's license. They can restrict your driver's license. They can restrict your professional license if you're a contractor, a real estate agent, and or a broker. These privileges and these rights, they will be suspended, revoked, and you do nothing but to benefit yourself if you're not paying. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think most guys kind of think of, especially if they have any kind of criminal record, they think, man, I'm not turning myself in. I mean, I'm not going to purposely run up there to the courthouse, but it's due to ignorance. You know, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. You probably thinking, well, if I go up there, they definitely gonna know who I am, where I am, what I'm doing, how much they gonna, man, they might take me in right now because I have back pay. Yeah, it's better to be upfront and honest and transparent, like you said. Yeah. But
yes,
a lot of guys are just, I think it's due to ignorance. Why we wanted you on here, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you back on here.
I definitely
because
want
we
to
need
open this up, the door up.
Yeah.
Like, let the rain come down, floodgates.
I appreciate you all inviting me to participate. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for doing
You're
this.
welcome.
I'm gonna say, you gonna help us push for that mandatory.
You're gonna be on your own with that one.
I've had pushback. We have conversations and there's pushback. Like people, why would you want to do that? I'm like, wait a minute. I have to be there now. That man has to be there. You know, it's like an open door where there's no more confusion and a lot of people, like, there's a lot of pushback. And I was like, why do you not want that?
I don't know.
Immediately after birth, and that's a little premature, but I think there should be something within a time frame, you know, somewhat reasonable time right after, you know, within 3 months, 6 months. I know that's something I could see myself jumping on board with, but not in the delivery, well, not the delivery room, but not while the woman is still in the hospital, not with mom and the baby.
Let the baby come on.
I mean, he nervous too.
Let the baby color come in.
You said let his color.
I don't know. Anyway.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna work on you now.
Ms. Shamika, we will be speaking again, and we thank you so much for your time tonight. That was a lot of information. I'm sure that we'll be watching this on replay, like for the
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
so much.
everybody who's watching, tune in next week,
Yeah.
March 28th. And we're going to have a little bit, hopefully we're going to try to have a little bit more fun. I know y'all be like, man, this is some serious stuff. Well, we're going to try to bring in some, but it's needed conversation. Thank you for joining, and y'all have a good night.
Have a good night.
Good night. What's going on, everybody? This is your girl, Allison Morris, and I want to invite you to tune in to the Limitless Talk right here on Real Women Radio. You can tune in every Monday at 5:30 p.m. for the Limitless Talk, a new segment on Q Lala's Doing the Most with Q Lala.
Now, this is a limited series, and IG Chromosome will be joining the discussion. We'll cover different topics that are definitely needed to be chewed and digested to the bone. Find out more next Monday, February 21st at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.